Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys Week 6 tight end rankings for fantasy football in 2020. We are going to be going over my top 20 tight ends for week number 6 and discuss why I have them ranked where I do inside of Week 6 rankings for fantasy football in 2020. So before we get into it, I'd like to ask that if you guys do end up enjoying this video at any point, to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. And real quick, before we get into the content, I'd like to hit you guys with a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com is my favorite place to play daily fantasy sports for fantasy football. Now, they do offer other sports, but I mainly focus on NFL. The site is simple. You go to the matchup shop. There's going to be a million games. Right now, there's only a couple because we're pretty far away from Sunday, but they offer a bunch of different games with spreads. Pretty much all it is who scores more fantasy points head-to-head plus the spread. It is very simple to figure out who scores more fantasy points on Sunday, Carson Wentz or Joe Burrow. Carson Wentz gets +2 fantasy points. Joe Burrow loses -2, and at the end of that, after you add the +2 and the -2, whoever scores more fantasy points ends up winning. It is that simple. You can bet on just one game, or you can parlay a bunch together, or bet on a bunch of them single and don't parlay them. You can do whatever you want. It is the easiest way to win money in daily fantasy sports. I really suggest you guys check this out. If you watch all my videos, if you do a lot of research yourself, it should be very easy to win some moolah on OverlayDFS.com. And we are back. Make sure you guys check out OverlayDFS.com. Let's get right into it. Week 6 tight end rankings. We begin with tight ends 1 through 10. At number 1 for the week, we have Travis Kelce going up against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Now, it's very hard to kind of rank these top 3 guys on a weekly basis, since I feel like they are just the upper echelon at the tight end position. But this week, I'm going to go with Travis Kelce because, in my opinion, he has the highest chance to be in a back-and-forth affair here up against the Buffalo Bills in a game that I believe will be high-scoring. Now, whether or not you think the Buffalo Bills can keep up, I think they will be able to. I think last week was kind of a look-ahead game for them. They were figuring, oh, the Tennessee Titans, they didn't fucking practice for the last 12 days. They're going to get their ass smacked by us. And they looked ahead to the Chiefs, and in reality, they got their shit stomped in. But here up against Travis Kelce and friends, I think Travis Kelce is going to put up a big spot here up against the Buffalo Bills in one of their most important games to start off the NFL season after the loss last week to the Las Vegas Raiders. At number 2, we have George Kittle, me Timbers, going up against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, last week, George Kittle's production was absolutely awful. While he didn't put up a goose egg, he just didn't look like George Kittle from the past. Now, why was this? I think it's because Jimmy Garoppolo, in the first half of the game just looked absolute booty cheeks. The guy's ankle was still fucked up. Clearly was not planting his foot to try to throw the ball to make the ball go more accurately. They returned Raheem Mostert. They were trying to run the ball a lot up against the Dolphins, and in reality, they just got outclassed by the Miami Dolphins. So George Kittle should be fine this week up against the Los Angeles Rams, whether it's Jimmy G or Beathard or Nick Mullins. In my opinion, he should be fine and have a bounce back week here. At number 3, we have Mark Andrews going up against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. I don't think this game is even remotely close. Mark Andrews has been a guy that is the king of finding the end zone. Lamar Jackson, when he's in the red zone, looks to do one or two things. He's either running the ball himself or he's throwing it to the huge man named Mark Andrews in the end zone. After Andrews' 2 game stut from week 3 and 4, where he kind of played like shit, he was very good week 5, and I expect a big matchup here up against the Philadelphia Eagles in a very decisive win by the Baltimore Ravens. And number 4, we have Jonnu Smith going up against the Houston Texans. Jonnu Smith clearly very involved regardless of who the fuck is on the field for the Tennessee Titans. When A.J. Brown wasn't there, he was involved. When A.J. Brown's there, he's involved. When Corey Davis is there, he's involved. When Corey Davis isn't there, he's involved. He is a main piece of the puzzle to this Tennessee Titans offense, and there's going to be nothing worse for the Houston Texans than having to face one of the better tight ends in the league in Jonnu Smith, a guy who is an absolute red zone threat for the Tennessee Titans. At number 5, we have Eazy-E Evan Ingram going up against the Washington Football Team. Now, this is a guy in the start video that I listed as an because I'm just not too confident in the Giants, if I'm being completely honest with you. But another good matchup for Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram ended up finding the end zone last week. Now, it wasn't based on a pass or a reception, I guess, for Evan Ingram. It was based off of a run. which doesn't sound very good for Evan Engram, because when the fuck is a tight end running the ball into the end zone? With that said, Evan Engram here up against the Washington football team in for another big game here, in my opinion, but there's obviously risk. Outside of these top 4 guys, there's probably much risk on all these guys. Number 6, we have TJ Hockenson going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, TJ Hockenson has really outdone my expectations. TJ Hockenson last year was really only good in one game and got really overhyped. This year, he's been very consistent throughout the first 5 games or the first 4 games they have played, because they had a bye last week. This week, he gets the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game here that I think is going to be a back and forth fight. One team calling back in, then they score, and then the other team has to crawl back in again. And TJ Hockenson has been relatively involved with Matthew Stafford on the team, whether or not Kenny Golladay is healthy or not. Kenny Golladay is going to play in this game, but up against the Jacksonville defense, I think TJ Hockenson is going to be able to get his number called multiple times to put up some big fantasy points in this game. At number 7, we have the new kid on the block, Robert Tonyan, tight end of the Green Bay Packers, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Now, I'm not sure this one is going to be ultra high scoring, because I honestly think that the Packers just stomp out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Robert Tonyan last week, or I guess not last week, the week before, because they had a bye last week, just like Detroit, they murdered the Atlanta Falcons, and you're not even allowed to murder a Falcon in the United States, but that's exactly what the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur did last week. 2 weeks ago. Robert Tonyan put up 3 touchdowns in that game up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I don't expect him to do it again, but I do believe that he is so involved in this offense, even with Davante Adams returning, that he's going to put up a big game here up against the Bucs. At number 8, we have Dalton Schultz going up against the Arizona Cardinals. In this matchup here, we have the rare situation where the quarterback's last name is throwing to the tight end with the same first name. Andy Dalton to Dalton Schultz up against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Dalton Schultz kind of sucked ass last week, if I'm being honest with you, in a very good matchup up against the New York Football Giants. Obviously, after Dak got hurt, it kind of turned into a shit show. They really started to run the ball. Well, I think they're going to try to run the ball more, obviously, with Andy Dalton than with Dak Prescott. They're still going to air the ball out, and Andy Dalton is a guy in the past who supported a guy like Tyler Eifert to being like a top 5, even top 3 tight end at points in his career in Cincinnati, so he clearly does like to throw the ball to the tight end, and Dalton Schultz is a big guy for that Cowboys offense, so I got him at 8. At number 9, we have a guy that's either going to finish as a top 3 guy or a complete and utter fucking bust right on your face like your name was Lana Rhodes this week up against the Baltimore Ravens. That is Zachary Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles. Ertz is not even a top 10 tight end right now on the season. Why is that? It's because last year, once all those Eagles wideouts took the big dirt nap and all got hurt, Zach Ertz was getting peppered Salt Bay style with targets on a weekly basis. Now, that's not happening. And when he's getting the ball thrown to him, it's not looking all that good from Carson Wentz, and he's not making the plays that old Zach Ertz would have made. So it's kind of a shit show over there in Philadelphia. So Ertz has the upside of being a top 3 guy, but he also has the upside of completely fucking you over. So that's really how you're going to want to read this. You play him probably because you drafted him highly. He's a good tight end, but just hasn't been getting that work. Maybe this is a bounce-back game here up against the Ravens and closing out the top 10. We're going to get to 11 through 20 after this. That's Tyler Higbee going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this guy's also very hit or miss. Much more hit than miss when compared to Zach Ertz, because he's been 4 straight fucking misses, 5 straight misses. At this point, Tyler Higbee has put up big games, and he's put up stinkers of games. Now, I think I talked about this in the quarterback video that you guys could watch earlier today, that Jared Goff's going to play good in this game up against the 49ers, which would lead me to believe that Tyler Higbee plays good, but he is kind of reliant on the tight end, and last week, Gerald Everett was way too involved for my liking. That's why Higbee didn't put up all that good of a game, so I hope that he's not as involved. Otherwise, it's going to be no bueno for Tyler Higbee the rest of the season. Now, on to tight ends 11 through 20, so if you guys have ended up enjoying thus far through the first, 8-9 minutes of this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I'm putting out this content every single day, doing all this work for you guys so you guys can win your championship, so please hop on the train here. At 11, we have Hayden Hurst, who has not really lived up to my expectations thus far this season, but here he has a great matchup up against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll see here what happens after the firing of Dan Quinn, how much better this team looks, or maybe they look even worse considering the locker room really liked Dan Quinn, but the stats were the complete opposite. So I think Hayden Hurst will still be involved a lot up against the Vikings, so I like him here a decent amount. At number 12, we have Michael Licky on my Gesicki going up against the New York Football Jets. Now, the biggest worry about this matchup has nothing to do with the Jets' defense, because the Jets' defense sucks cock. The fact is that the Dolphins may be up by a zillion points and just run the ball for the second half of the game. And in that case, Mike Gesicki won't be used very much. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Let's hope that Mike Gesicki scores before they start running the ball 7 million times. Number 13, we have Jimmy G. Jimmy Graham going up against the Carolina Panthers. Jimmy Graham has been vital to this offense with Big Dick Nicholas Foles, 9-inch Nick starting at the quarterback position. With those thoughts, plus a positive matchup up against the Carolina Panthers, I like him here as a top 13 tight end. At number 14, we have Double E, Eric Ebron going up against the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is a very good matchup because the Cleveland Browns defense has been exposed by the tight end position all season long. But my worry is that the Steelers don't really use a tight end, right? You never really see Eric Ebron getting the ball. So even in a plus matchup, do you trust Big Ben to give him the ball? Now, I've seen him ranked inside of like the top 6 of some rankings, and I just don't understand it based on the risk you are taking because Big Ben doesn't throw the fucking ball to the tight end. So take that as you will. Definitely has top 5 potential because of how bad the Browns are against the tight end, but he's also not very used on the team. At number 15, we have Austin Hoop God going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Same game, different tight end. Austin Hooper here has been shit for the first 3 weeks. The last 2 weeks has looked pretty good. So maybe we're on another end of the horizon for Austin Hooper, but I definitely don't love him here. Up against a very, 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 very strong Steelers defense. Number 16, we have LT. Not talking about LaDainian Tomlinson. Not talking about Lawrence Taylor. We're talking about Logan Thomas going up against the New York Football Giants. At this point in the tight end rankings, probably after tight end 14, you're at the point where you're just praying to the fantasy lords that one of these guys ends up doing something. The tight end position is topsy-turvy. It's like, what are those things called? A seesaw? And you're like, you put a kid on there, you put a baby on one side, and you put some fucking 400-pound person on the other side, and they hit it, and the fucking light person, or the baby, flies fucking through the moon into the orbit and smacks right into the moon. That's pretty much what it is. There's only a couple of guys that are able to weigh this thing down, and the rest of the tight ends are getting slingshot by the fat dude on the other side. So hopefully that was a good analogy for you guys. But Logan Thomas here, he's one of the babies, right? He's going to get sent flying, right? There is definitely upside for a touchdown here. That's what you're hoping for with Logan Thomas. He was very involved early in the season with Dwayne Trashcan Haskins, but then they canned Dwayne Trashcan Haskins, so I have no idea what to think about Logan Thomas with different quarterback play. At number 17, we have Robert Gronkowski going up against the Green Bay Packers. Now, Gronk has not been the Gronk of the past. He's been more of a blocking tight end, hasn't been getting all that many looks. So with that said, while he has been getting more recently looks in the catching game, I don't know. I just don't know. Gronk is a complete bust this year. I didn't really like him in the drafts. Sucks ass now. Don't play Gronk, tight end 17. At 18, we have Drew Sample going up against the Indianapolis Colts. A very tough matchup for the tight end here up against the Colts in a system where Joe Burrow kind of likes to use the tight end, so there is some upside there in him getting a lot of opportunity. But at the end of the day, he doesn't throw it to the tight end enough to warrant a start here up against the Indianapolis Colts at tight end 18. At number 19, we have Irv Smith going up against the Atlanta Falcons. While the Minnesota tight end situation has not been figured out thus far this season, I feel like Smith is the tight end one on the team. Here, going up against a defense that can't stop the tight end is a good matchup at tight end number 19, but there's worry. Why is that number 19? Is because Kyle Rudolph is still there, and it's kind of concerning if he will be getting all the touches, or all the targets, I should say, or not. To close out the video, we have tight end number 20, Trey Boo-Boo, Trey Burton going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Mo Alley Cox, out of the game. Jack Doyle still kind of banged up, playing though. Trey Burton did good last week. Maybe we see another big Trey Burton game this week up against the Bengals, who are notoriously bad at defense and against the tight end. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If you did end up enjoying it at any point, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow in the live stream. Make sure you guys check out overlaydfs.com. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Goodbye!